Imagine spending 50 years farming the same land. You've survived droughts, floods, and market crashes. You've fed your family, built a legacy, and planted seeds every single spring until now. One Mississippi farmer, 50 years in, just deferred payments on his John Deere equipment for the very first time in his life. $1 million cotton picker, an $800,000 combine, sitting in the field, bills he can't pay. And he's not alone. Across the Mississippi Delta, the situation has gotten so bad that state officials are sounding the alarm at emergency Senate hearings. Agricultural lenders are refusing to loan farmers money to even plant their crops, and the state's own lieutenant governor is calling it a crisis we cannot afford to ignore. So what is actually happening, and why should you care? Stay right here, because this is bigger than Mississippi. Mississippi is one of America's most agricultural states, over 34,700 farms spread across 3.5 million acres. Agriculture isn't just an industry here, it is the foundation of the entire state economy, accounting for more than 18% of Mississippi's GDP and generating over $7 billion annually. We're talking cotton, soybeans, corn, rice, crops that have defined this state for generations. But here's the thing. Right now, those crops are losing money. Not breaking even, not tight margins, actively losing money. The 2025 Mississippi Row Crop Situation Report from Mississippi State University Extension confirmed it in black and white. Corn, cotton, rice, and soybeans are all projected to lose money, every single major row crop, all of them at the same time. And the numbers are staggering. Soybean value is down 24%, the lowest acreage since 2019. Cotton value is down 32%, prices described by experts as not sustainable. The row crop sector is down 9% overall, and a 3,000-acre Delta farm could post losses between $500,000 and $1 million in a single year. One cotton grower picked close to 4 bales per acre, an incredible yield by any measure, and still couldn't turn a profit. Let that sink in. Now you might be asking, how does a state that produces $9.5 billion in agriculture end up with its row crop farmers buried in losses? The answer is a perfect storm, and it's been building for years. Strike one. Costs exploded while prices crashed. Inflation has jumped 51% since 2007, but for row crop farmers, operational costs have more than doubled in that same period. Fuel, fertilizer, seeds, labor, equipment that now runs $1 million for a single cotton picker. Meanwhile, the prices they get for what they grow? Falling. Soybeans and corn saw a 45% decrease in net cash farm income since 2022, the lowest level in 15 years. Strike two, tariffs and trade wars. This one hits different in Mississippi. The state's row crops, cotton especially, depend heavily on export markets, and trade tensions have been a gut punch. Mississippi's own state economist warned earlier this year that Trump's 2018 tariffs alone eroded about $20 billion in U.S. agricultural exports. The market never fully recovered, and now, with new tariff uncertainty in 2025, farmers are staring down the same cliff again. One farmer put it simply, the math just ain't mathin'. Strike three, the weather. Persistent heavy rains in May 2025 made fields too muddy for equipment. Drought hit northeastern Mississippi the summer before that. When you're already bleeding money, one bad weather event can be the difference between surviving and going under. Agricultural economist Steve Martin, speaking at the Delta Council's August Farm Update, said the outlook right now is the toughest it's been in at least 25 years. 25 years. Here's where things get really alarming, and this is the part that most people aren't talking about. Mississippi farmers don't pay for their crops up front. Almost none of them can. They take out crop loans every spring to buy seeds, fertilizer, and fuel, then pay those loans back after the harvest. But this year, lenders are looking at the numbers and saying no. Mississippi's Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, in a public statement this February, revealed that agricultural lenders had privately told him they did not intend to furnish funds for some farmers to plant crops. Read that again. Banks are refusing to give farmers the money they need just to plant in the first place. As Mike McCormick, president of the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation, put it, farmers are going to their banks with their hat in their hands, trying to show them a budget that at least potentially works, and it's getting harder and harder. Higher interest rates, projected losses, no farm bill. Lenders are scared, and when lenders get scared, farmers can't plant, and when farmers can't plant, entire rural communities start to collapse. So what is the government doing about it? In December 2024, Congress approved $31 billion in emergency payments to help farmers across the country cope with crashing crop prices, rising costs, and extreme weather. $10 billion of that went out through the Emergency Commodity Assistance Program. But Mississippi farmers say it was too little and too late. Payments came in smaller than expected. The remaining $21 billion in disaster assistance? Still unclear when or if it arrives. The USDA announced an additional $12 billion through the Farmer Bridge Assistance Program, with payments expected in early 2026. The state received $857.6 million in government safety net payments in 2025, more than double what it got in 2024. That tells you everything. When government emergency payments double in a single year, that's not a hiccup, that's a structural collapse. In August 2025, U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins flew to Mississippi alongside Governor Tate Reeves and Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith for roundtable discussions with farmers. Officials called for a new Farm Service Agency hub. They held hearings. They made statements. But here's what farmers actually needed, according to those in the room: certainty, a long-term farm bill, stable export markets, and relief that reaches them before planting season, not after harvest. Mike Graves, a cotton, soybean, and corn farmer, said, "I hate that the government has to get in it, but I'm not going to turn down anything they offer either. Without that $31 billion emergency package," he says, "wouldn't any of us survive." And now, here's why this matters to every single person watching, whether you're in Mississippi, Minnesota, or Mumbai. Economists are already calling Mississippi's Delta crisis an early warning signal for the entire nation. Delta farmers lost their traditional price advantage near the Mississippi River, with soybean market prices dropping 30 to 40 cents below normal even before harvest. If that spread north as the Midwest brought in its crop, and economists warned it would, producers across the country could face a similar or deeper squeeze. Think about what that means. We're not talking about a regional farm story. We're talking about the potential beginning of a national agricultural reckoning. The Mississippi Delta has been through this before. Cotton collapsed in the Depression. Prices cratered in the 1980s farm crisis. But today's downturn, economists warn, is different because it's happening on top of record debt, record equipment costs, and a trade environment that has permanently shifted global crop markets. Much like what happened to steel towns and auto towns in the Rust Belt, today's farm crisis isn't just about profit margins. It's about the survival of entire towns whose economies revolve around a single industry. When a farm fails in the Mississippi Delta, it's not just one family. It's the feed store, the equipment dealer, the local diner, the school. The whole town feels it. Look, Mississippi's farm economy is in the most serious trouble it's been in a generation. 50-year farmers borrowing money for the first time, banks refusing to fund planting season, cotton growers picking record yields and still going broke, emergency government payments doubling in a single year. The governor held roundtables, the lieutenant governor held emergency hearings, the USDA secretary flew in. Everyone is talking, but the farmers of the Mississippi Delta are still staring into 2026 with little certainty that the math will work. One Delta Council member said it plainly: "We got traction once the Midwest started realizing there was nothing there." In other words, the rest of America only started paying attention when it became their problem too. Well, consider this your early warning. If you're watching this from a state that grows food, eats food, or cares about the economic stability of rural America, this is your story too. Hit that subscribe button if this opened your eyes. Share this with someone who thinks the food just magically appears on grocery store shelves. And drop in the comments, do you think the government is doing enough for American farmers? I'll see you in the next one.